Where's everybody? Where's everybody? Oh my god. Look how many tables they set up. Oh my god.
Kilroy. What is Kilroy? In order to understand it, we must go back.
Okay, about what's going to happen.
Hilarity.
Hilarity.
Born out of 2017's VidCon shenanigans, where Swindon's Member of Parliament goaded Saint Anita into declaring him a garbage human.
It's like this dude who are making these dumbass videos that just say the same shit over and over again. It's like, I keep giving you attention because you're a garbage human. Whatever, dude. But it's, you know, like the fact that...
A clandestine group of skeptics felt they needed a place for their milquetoast Tupperware opinions to be heralded. So they crowdfunded this idea as a conference for champions of free speech and called it Kilroy. Initially, there were a few prominent e-celebs on side, a big draw for all the crowdfunding that came Kilroy's way. But then they were asked to sign dodgy contracts that legally obligated them to not criticise the event, to not criticise people running the event, and not to criticise any of their decisions. The irony was palpable. Freedom of speech for the people both attending and speaking at the event was a fantasy, and nobody involved was allowed to ask the question on everybody's minds: where was all of the money going? The notion was tossed around that Kilroy needed investment and tough security because of all of the incredibly dangerous ideas that would come from the mouths of people like Mundane Matt. But it steadily became apparent that the money was flowing into the dry and menopausal cavern of a woman who went by the moniker Based Mama. Her incompetence would be instrumental in the organisation of the Kilroy event. So, as time passed, one by one the e-celebs began to bail. They didn't want to be associated with the embarrassment that was guaranteed, and many of the people who crowdfunded Kilroy and who bought tickets did so for these e-celebs who then announced their departure. The writing was on the wall. All that were left on the sinking Titanic were Jeff Holiday, Mundane Matt, and Based Mama. She, in the end, managed to swindle well-meaning people out of a sum north of $80,000. The scam was blatant, obvious, transparent, and so was the damage control.
So yeah, Kilroy just wrapped up a little bit ago, first day. Good. So it was interesting. It was interesting. This is a long road. So I guess to kind of like talk about it, I have to go back to the beginning. I have to go all the way back to the summer of 2017. VidCon, June 2017 VidCon. We were having a lot of fun at VidCon. I mean, like a great deal of fun. Everyone drunk, happy, excited. We ended up just talking about the concept, the idea of doing an event that was kind of like a shitlord con, because the idea that VidCon was not going to be having anyone that represented, I guess you could say, our side of the discussion. There was Anita Sarkeesian and that whole garbage human situation, and no one there ever wanted to touch on the other side of the political coin. And we thought, hey, why don't we do this shitlord con thing? So Dave Cullen and Base Mama left a couple days early. They went back to Phoenix. And they ended up talking about the idea and formulating the idea and coming together with Kilroy. Now, when they first pitched the idea, a few of us were kind of like, well, that's not really what we talked about, but we're all pretty big proponents of free speech. So therefore, we want to make sure that we can, have this situation play out. The show must go on, right? There are people that requested a refund. There are people that requested they got their money back. I think they just didn't promote it as well as it should have. But I mean, overall, it went well. There was a decent enough turnout, a lot of good conversations, and that's really about it. It actually went, I think, in some cases, better than expected. I liked some of the commentary online. That was pretty funny. Is it sad that this room makes me look better than normal? It's the angle, man. It's the high angle. That's why. But
it must be awful being Mundane Matt. I could stop at that small economy of words and end the video, but I'll carry on regardless. It must be awful being Mundane Matt because he lives in a world where, in his head, in his own little bubble, he's successful. He's an entrepreneur. He's a man with an opinion that everybody wants to hear. A man who's fashioned a career out of just being Matt. Mundane Matt. In his head, he's even managed to convince himself that the use of the mundane in his name is an ironic prefix, because, lol, he's not really mundane. The actual reality is that, the real truth of the matter, for all of his feathers, he can't even draw a crowd of 10 people if he were to step out into life outside of the internet. When Mundane Matt is the only noticeable person on the billing, you can be sure that room you've hired will be empty, desolate. Kilroy was supposed to be VidCon for shitlords. Instead, it managed to rob the dignity of people whose dignity I didn't think could still be robbed. It says it all when the Gala Bingo down my road has more people in attendance on a Friday night than the conference that was supposed to spearhead international policy change in regards to the right for freedom of speech.
To your face piece, shoes trick, either the mouth or the booty crease, no matter what you get.
Now flag me, you golem of soy. Oh, and don't forget to march for this degenerate. Amber, if you're listening, please throw away the fucking key.